Hey, welcome to Operation Remote Resilience. My name is Jacquelynne, and I'm a certified Warrior Studies teacher. And today I will be guiding you through a 30-minute all levels class. It's designed to be a little more on the gentle side and getting a full body stretch with a short final relaxation at the end. So if you'd like to join me in a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like for you, the legs can be crossed, stretched out. You can be sitting on something. I'm sitting on a pillow. Or you can grab a blanket, maybe a block, a bolster, whatever you have. Lifting those hips up just a little bit. And just checking in. Maybe doing a quick mental body scan. From the toes all the way up through the crown of the head. Noticing if you're holding tension anywhere. Just doing a quick check-in. And then we're going to come to the breath. Taking a few breaths here, just noticing where your breath is today, right now. Do you have long, deep breaths? Or are they shorter and shallow? Maybe somewhere in between. Just taking a few breaths to notice without changing. And after those few breaths, starting to notice our posture here. Trying to lift the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. We're lengthening the spine, engaging the core, trying to protect that lower back. Maybe doing a quick shoulder roll up, opening up the chest, rolling those shoulder blades together. Maybe pushing that chin back just a little bit to line up the ears with the shoulders. And from here, maybe coming back to the breath. Getting a little bit deeper breaths now, bringing a little more energy into the body. If you would like, placing one hand over the chest and one hand over the belly to get a physical feel for what your body is doing while you're breathing. On the inhale, feel the rib cage expand, lifting the chest up. And notice the belly expanding. On the exhale, feeling the belly relax and the chest lower. Taking a few breaths here. Trying to keep that posture, the ears in line with the shoulders, and the shoulder blades squeezing together. The core is engaged. Now after a few breaths, maybe bringing the hands back down to the legs. Taking a few relaxing breaths here. Holding the posture of the spine nice and long. On the next inhale, reaching the arms up overhead, lengthening the spine a little bit, but keeping those shoulder blades down and back. And exhale, bringing those arms back down to the side. Inhaling up, maybe rotating the wrists in one direction on the way up, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. And exhale, rotating in the opposite direction on the way down. Going through this a few times on your own breath. Trying to keep the posture in mind. The core is still engaged here. The ears are still in line with the shoulders. And the shoulders are still squeezing together, trying to keep that chest open. After a few cycles on your own breath, maybe bring the hands back to the legs. pausing for a breath or two. We're taking an inhale, lengthen the spine again. And exhale, dropping the left ear to the left shoulder. Feeling the stretch on the right side of the neck. Maybe holding here for a few breaths. Or adding some dynamic movement, taking an inhale, turning that chin up towards the ceiling slightly. And exhale, turning that chin down towards the clavicle. Either completing this cycle a few times on your own breath, or maybe holding in one spot that may be holding a little more tension. Trying to keep the rest of the spine nice and straight. Only stretching the neck right now. And inhale, bring the head to face forward, and come back to center. Maybe taking a breath here. And inhale, lengthening the neck. And exhale, dropping the right ear to the right shoulder. Maybe holding here for a few breaths. Again, maybe cycling through some dynamic movement with the breath. Inhale, bringing the chin up towards the ceiling. And exhale, back down towards the clavicle. Again, cycling through this, or maybe holding in one spot. That needs a little more attention. And breathing. On an inhale, bring the head to face forward. Bring it back to center. And on an exhale, dropping chin to chest, keeping those shoulder blades down and back. Just stretching the back of the neck. Inhale, coming back to center, and exhale, looking all the way up. Stretching the front of the neck. Maybe cycling through this a few times, very slowly. Or holding in one spot. Needs a little more attention. On the next inhale, bringing the head back to center. We're going to reach our left arm out to the side. Right arm comes up. Maybe walking those fingertips over. Still keeping the spine nice and long. We're looking for some length in the right side here. We're trying to keep those shoulders down and back still. Maybe walking the fingertips further, maybe bending that elbow. You need to find a little more stretch. Either holding here or dynamically moving with the breath. Inhale, turning the chest up towards the ceiling. And exhale, turning towards the floor. Noticing how the stretch changes with your movement and breath, and maybe holding, again, in a spot that may need a little more attention. On the next inhale, turning the chest back to face the center, coming all the way back up, and we're going to switch sides. Walking those right fingertips out, left arm comes up. Stretching that left side. Again, maybe walking those fingertips out further, a little farther there, or maybe bending that elbow to feel a little bit deeper stretch. You can either hold here, do some movement, inhale, opening up the chest towards the ceiling, and exhale, turning towards the floor. Again, noticing how this changes the stretch from this side compared to the stretch on the other side. And on the next inhale, bring the chest to face the front, coming all the way back. Bringing the hands forward and gently to a gentle forward fold here, walking the hands slowly out. Taking a few breaths here. Keeping the spine long. Now on an inhale, slowly walk those fingertips back towards the body. We're going to come to our tabletop position. If you'd like, maybe grabbing a blanket for support under the knees here. We're going to bring these wrists, that shoulder width apart, grounding through the tops of the feet and the shins. And these are about hip width apart. Core is still engaged here. Shoulder blades are squeezing together and pressing in through the palm of the hand and all the fingers. Inhale, bringing the crown of the head towards the front of the mat and pulling the hips towards the back to lengthen the spine. Then slowly taking an exhale, pulling the hips back gently. Inhale, coming back up to all fours. Exhale, pulling the hips back, maybe a little further than last time. And inhale, coming up. Exhale, pulling the hips back. Inhaling up. And exhale, pulling the hips back. We're going to come into child's pose here. If you'd like a little more support, maybe grabbing a pillow to place between the hips and the ankles. A little bit of support if your back isn't quite warmed up. Maybe taking a wide-legged child's pose, bringing the knees to the outside edges of the mat and folding into child's pose. And for a more active child's pose, keep those arms straight and the elbows off the mat. For something slightly more relaxing, bringing those elbows down for support. Maybe grabbing something to support the forehead. Could be a block, a pillow, or a blanket. Pausing here. We're going to take a few breaths on our own, just noticing. Noticing if the pace has changed, the depth of the breath. Noticing the rib cage expanding on the inhale and relaxing on the exhale. If you are in a wide-legged child's pose, bringing those knees back to hip width apart. Maybe setting some of those props aside. We're going to come to our modified mountain pose. Bring that left leg forward. Inhale, opening up the chest, maybe bringing the hands to the hips. Ears are in line with the shoulders. We're gently pushing the lower hip forward. Get a stretch in our hip flexor. We're not trying to go as far as we can, so we're not dropping our belly. We're keeping the core engaged. It may feel like you're not moving, but we're just looking for a gentle stretch here. And exhale, folding over the front leg. This front leg can be bent or it can be straight. You can pointer flex the toes as you'd like. And inhale, coming back up. Again, gently pushing those hips forward. Exhale, pushing the hips back and folding over the front leg. Inhale, coming up with a nice straight back. Pushing those hips forward gently. And exhale, folding over that front leg, keeping the chest open as we're folding. Inhale, coming back up, pushing those hips forward. We're going to hold here for a few breaths. Taking an inhale, exhale. At your own pace, keeping the shoulders down and back. Trying to keep our chest open. Pushing the chin back to keep the ease. Oh, excuse me. Oh. On an exhale, gently push those hips back to release the stretch. Maybe grabbing some blocks for support. We're going to fold over this front leg, trying to keep the chest open still. You can play with bending and straightening that leg, maybe pointing and flexing the toes. And breathing here. Trying to keep those ears in line with the shoulders. Remembering to breathe. On the next inhale, gently coming out of the stretch. Coming all the way back up, bringing that foot in. We're going to come into a gentle twist here. Bringing the hands to heart center. Bringing that elbow to the knee. And folding forward. Creating a gentle twist here. If you would like a more active pose, you can curl those back toes under and come into a low lunge. And then coming into the twist from here. Whichever you'd like. Keeping the spine nice and long. Ears are in line with the shoulders. Maybe turning the gaze over the back shoulder. Still squeezing those shoulder blades together. Very gently inhale, untwisting. If you came into your low lunge, coming back down. And we're going to come into our modified mountain pose. Inhale, lengthen the spine, bring the crown of the head towards the ceiling. Shoulders are down and back. Fingertips are pulling towards the floor. Palms are open, either forward or towards you. And breathing. And another option is to sit back, pull the hips back and sit into a hero pose. Pausing here for a few breaths. And just doing a quick check-in. Taking a few breaths to notice the pace of your breath and the depth of your breath. Maybe noticing a change in body temperature. Noticing the muscles that feel a bit more stretched out. Maybe noticing some tension that you may not have noticed before. And we're just noticing. We're not trying to change it. If you're in hero's pose, taking an inhale, coming up to our modified mountain pose. And then we're going to switch legs. Bring the right leg out in front. Inhale, bringing the hands to the hips, opening up the chest, lengthening the spine, and engaging that core. And pushing the hips forward gently. Again, we're not trying to drop our belly. We're trying to keep it nice and tight. Nice straight spine here. And exhale, folding over the front leg. And this leg can be bent or straight, whatever you need today. And inhale, coming back up. Pushing the hips forward gently. Keeping the ears in line with the shoulders. Exhale, folding over the front leg. Trying to keep the chest open even though we're folding. Inhale, coming up, pushing the hips forward. And exhale, folding over the front leg. Inhaling, coming up. Again, pushing those hips forward gently. We're going to hold here for a few breaths. Keeping the core engaged, the spine is long. The shoulders are down and back. The ears are in line with the shoulders. Remembering to breathe. And exhale, very gently release the stretch. And slowly fold over the front leg. Again, maybe grabbing some blocks for support. The leg can be bent or straight. The toes can be pointed or flexed. Whatever you need today. We're going to hold here for a few breaths. Keeping the chest open. And remembering to breathe. On the next inhale, slowly releasing that stretch. Maybe walking that foot back in a little bit. Gonna come into our gentle twist, bringing the hands to heart center. Bringing the opposite elbow to that front knee. Keeping the core engaged, lengthening the spine. And coming into a gentle twist. And if you'd like more active pose, you can curl those back toes under and lift the back knee before coming into this twist. Otherwise, you can just keep that knee on the ground and breathe. The spine is nice and long. The ears are still in line with the shoulders. The gaze can be over that back shoulder. On an inhale, untwisting. If you came into a low lunge, lowering back down gently. We're going to bring that front leg back to meet the back leg. Again, we're going to pause here, either in modified mountain pose or sitting back in a hero pose. And doing a quick check-in. Just taking a few breaths here. Coming back to the breath. Again, noticing the pace and the depth. Noticing any tension that may have been there before. Maybe it's not there now. Noticing your body temperature. After a few breaths here, we're going to come to lying on our back. Moving away any props. We're going to come into a figure 4. Bringing the ankle over the opposite knee, keeping that top foot flexed. Maybe holding here. Maybe walking that lower foot into the hips a little bit closer. Or even lifting that foot up off the floor. If you lift your foot up, make sure you engage that to flex the foot. Maybe reaching through and pulling the leg a little bit closer to your body. Be straightening that lower leg. And breathing here. Getting a nice hip stretch here. At any point it feels a bit too much, maybe releasing just a little bit. And finding something comfortable to hold for a few more breaths. Keeping those shoulder blades down and back. On the next inhale, releasing that leg back down to the floor if you lifted it up. And then we're going to release the top leg and the ankle. And then switching sides, bringing the ankle over the opposite knee, keeping that top foot flexed. Maybe walking that lower foot in a little bit closer to the hips, or maybe lifting it up off the floor. And if you lift it up off the floor, keeping that foot flexed, so both feet are flexed. Maybe reaching through and grabbing the leg. Maybe getting a little more stretch here if that works for you. Maybe straightening that base leg. Holding here for a few breaths. On the next inhale, very slowly, releasing that leg back to the floor if you lifted it up, and releasing the ankle from the knee. We're going to take an exhale, drawing the knees into the chest, giving yourself a hug, maybe rocking from side to side. Then we're going to come into our final relaxation for just a few minutes. So whatever that looks like for you, maybe you have a bolster, a blanket, or a pillow to place under your knees. Maybe you have a blanket to cover yourself. Maybe you have a pillow or a blanket under your head. Just coming into whatever that pose is for you. Coming back to the breath. Maybe noticing it slow down naturally without trying to control it. Maybe doing a mental body scan. Comparing how you feel now compared to how you were at the beginning of class or at any point in the middle of class. Starting with the toes. Moving up through the feet, and the ankles, the shins and the calves, the knees, the quads and the hamstrings, and the hips. Releasing any tension in the legs, maybe left over. Going to the fingers, the hands, the wrists, the elbows, and forearm, the shoulders and the upper arm. Releasing any tension you may be holding in the arms. Releasing the legs, the hips, the belly, the lower back, the chest and the upper back, the arms and the shoulders, the jaw, the neck, the cheeks, and the eyes, the eyebrows, the forehead, and the crown of the head. Taking a few breaths here to release any tension you may find. And whenever you're ready, start to lengthen the breath, deepening the inhale and exhale, adding just a little more energy into the body. Maybe wiggling the fingers and toes, moving up to the wrists and the ankles. Maybe reaching the arms up overhead for one last full body stretch. And on an exhale, drawing the knees into the chest, rocking from side to side. Give yourself a little bit of a back massage. And slowly rolling onto the right side, using your arm as a pillow. Taking a few breaths here. And with as little effort as possible, pushing yourself up to a comfortable seated position with the head coming up very last. And bring the hands together, heart center. Thank you all so much for practicing with me today as part of Operation Remote Resilience. And please consider visiting the link below to make a donation, ensuring the continued accessibility of resources like these. And supporters like you make it possible for Warriors at Ease teachers like me to continue to serve those who serve. And this is Jacquelynne signing off Operation Remote Resilience. Thank you.